Welcome in to the New Orleans Saints podcast, hosted by Erin Summers and John DeShazier. You'll hear from players, coaches, broadcasters, and writers who cover the team on a daily basis. The New Orleans Saints podcast starts right now. Here's your hosts, Erin Summers and John DeShazier.
Welcome into the New Orleans Saints podcast. I'm Erin Summers, joined by John DeShazier. We are just days away from the Saints game at Foxborough. They'll play in Gillette Stadium against the Patriots, 12 o'clock Central, and we're really looking for a win. It's going to be tough coming off 2 straight losses and going up against a Patriots squad that's coming off their worst loss under Bill Belichick, 28-3 to the Cowboys. That's something that's come up a lot this week from the players, is just how difficult it is to prepare for a Belichick team. Why is that?
Well, because he's so cerebral, especially defensively. I don't know about their offense. Now, the numbers look bad because they lost the last game 38-3. So the numbers don't look good for either unit, really. But defensively, that's where he's made his bones. He's won 299 games in the NFL, which is when you think about it, is ridiculous. That's a lot of winning. And he's basically been a defensive guru if you go all the way back to the years with Bill Parcells, head coach, and he was coaching linebackers and defensive coordinator, I think, with the Giants, with Lawrence Taylor. You know, you go all the way back to that, and, you know, he's just been a guy who's been able to figure out how to win NFL games. And I think Coach Dennis Allen said it best today. It's not that you can detect a tendency with New England because they change what they do defensively week to week. Mm-hmm. So you can't look at week 3 and say, okay, we got something. I mean, they've changed according to the team they're playing, and they fit it. Now, it didn't fit so well last week against Dallas, and hopefully it won't fit Sunday against the Saints. Mm-hmm. But they figure out how to do what they want to do defensively against what you want to do offensively.
Yeah, we can go ahead and listen to what head coach Dennis Allen said Friday's press conference.
You know, as much as anything, when you watch them, you know, they're very fundamentally sound in everything that they do. And, you know, they play a multitude of players in a lot of different positions, so they make some things difficult on you in terms of identifying the defensive personnel package that's out there. And, you know, each week it's a new look, you know, and so it's kind of hard to go through and, you know, see what they do, you know, from week to week, you know, how they're going to, you know, look at us and how they're going to plan us. I think you know, a lot of times you can go and you can look at a scheme and you can say, okay, this is what they're going to do, and this is what we really expect for them to do against us, and yet, you know, each and every week it kind of changes with them. So that makes it tough. I you know, got a lot of respect for him in terms of, you know, his defensive mindset, you know, as well as his you know, just overall knowledge of the game.
Patriots head coach Bill Belichick did have some really good things to say about the Saints this week as they're preparing for the game Sunday.
You know, offensively, you know, starts the offensive line. You know, a lot of good players up there. You know, 4 number 1 picks at New Orleans, and, you know, Hurst and, you know, McCoy, you know, 2nd round pick out of A&M. So, you know, a lot of good players up there. They have good depth. You know, a good pass blocking team, and a good run blocking team, but they're, you know, very good throwing the ball. You know, explosive players at all the skill positions. I mean, start with Kamara, you know, got him back last week and got on the ball. You know, Olave, Johnson, you know, obviously Thomas. You know, these guys are all a problem. Shaheed, you know, Miller. I mean, they've got a lot of good players, and then Hill's a, you know, versatile guy for him that they, you know, is going to touch the ball 5 to 10 times a game at various positions. Hard to know exactly where that's going to be, but that's their whole offense. They move people around, and you have multiple personnel groups, multiple formations, and, you know, just give you a lot to prepare for defensively. You know, their defense is, you know, kind of rebuild on the defensive line. You know, they have signed a few players, you know, in recent years as UFAs, and drafted Breeze and Foskey, you know, this year to put in there. But, guys have added like Shepard and Granderson, to go with, Jordan. It's a good defensive line, very experienced. Jordan's one of the players I have the most respect for in the league. He's been a great player, long time, very durable. Whatever it was, 170 some straight games he played. But this guy shows up, every week and plays well, run, pass, situational football. Really smart player. This guy's a great player. They have good speed at linebacker, with Davis and Werner, and their secondary is a very aggressive secondary, like Dennis has always had there. And Taylor, has come in there for Adebo, well, on some of the early downs, and so they've had good production. Lattimore obviously is one of the top corners in the league. And a lot of experience in secondary, even though they lost May, bring Abram in, and certainly Matthew, who's a guy that's got a ton of experience, savvy, and anticipation back there. So a solid group. They do a lot defensively. They have a lot of scheme to prepare for. And a lot of good players. And then kicking game, Darren. So this is a long time we've competed against him, going back to all those years at Miami, and then going back to 21. We played him there, but with Shaheed, they got a good return game. They're a good rush team, punt and field goals, really good in those areas. Two new kickers, or kicker and punter, a little different. Some of the punt things they do, it'll look a little bit like the college game, so. That'd be a little bit new for us there, with Headley. But, really solid group, led by Gray. He's, one of the top players in the league. Absolutely have to block him, account for him to have any chance of, return on punts or kickoffs. As good as anybody we play. And so that'd be a big matchup for us there too. But, very well-balanced team. They got good players in every unit, and have got a good level of experience. Certainly Carr has been a good addition for him there at the quarterback. Still have Winston, and Hill gets his snaps back there as well. So they're good on the deep ball. They've hit the both Winston and Carr are good deep ball throwers. So it's definitely a big point of emphasis this week is not allowing the explosive plays that they've already hit. 4 or 5 of them, which is definitely a problem. So, gotta eliminate those.
So you mentioned defensively how good the Patriots are at adjusting. Offensively, where is their biggest threat?
Well, I mean, Mac Jones has had a tough season. He's only throwing for like 225 yards a game, and he's got 5 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. And, it looks their run game has not been good, only averaging about 93 yards a game. So the big threat has been the tight end, Hunter Henry. He's got 17 catches, 176 yards, and a couple of touchdowns, and a receiver, but 16 catches for 175 yards and a couple of touchdowns. They really hadn't had any big receiving threats. I know Juju Smith-Schuster's on that team, but he hadn't had a really productive season. So they've struggled offensively, and if the Saints defense wants to have a get-right game, hopefully this will be the get-right game. And not that last week was a horrible game. 26 points allowed, in what we're accustomed to seeing, and the 3 touchdown passes, of course. But this could be one of those really get-right games if New England's offense continues to struggle.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot going on the Patriots side. They're not playing the way that they would like to play, but the Saints kind of are in the same boat right now, especially offensively. It seems like it's been a struggle just to find their rhythm. And I think Derek Carr said this several times this week, the consistency, just doing what they need to do on a consistent basis. What would you like to see Sunday that would be the biggest difference there?
I just want to see the offensive and defensive lines play well, because that's the foundation of any game, really. But the Saints are going to be better if they can protect Derek Carr and if they can run the ball, and that begins with the offensive line. And I know the run game guys, especially Alvin Kamara, are frustrated that they have not run the ball more. So if you can get that going, and defensively, they got to get to the quarterback. Yeah. They have to get to the quarterback, and not just maybe not sack him all the time, but you have to affect him. You've got to harass him, get him off schedule, and hit him a few times, even if you can't sack him, to get him a little bit fidgety and maybe noticing the pass rush as much as he notices anything. If they can't do those things, then it's going to be a long day in Foxborough, and hopefully they can, because they know what they need to do, and they're saying the fixes are really small. It's not huge fixes. You can have, you've heard them say a million times, you can have 10 guys do the right thing and one guy not do the right thing.
Right.
And it just doesn't look good because, the one guy who makes the bust is where the production comes from the other team. So, hopefully offensive line, defensive line, they'll be better there. And we heard Pete Carmichael say on Thursday that they've got to do some things to scheme a little bit better to get their guys open. And so, he talked about, run a little bit more motion, but he's got to do some things to make the defense kind of give away what it is they want to do in coverage so that they can take advantage on offense.
Yeah, and wide receiver Rashid Shaheed said today, offensively for them, they have to be where they're supposed to be. So they have to run their routes hard, extremely hard, every single rep, just to be able to set Derek Carr up as well as they can. So we'll see what adjustments they make going into this game on Sunday. Get back over 500. I mean, we really are only 2-2 right now.
Yeah, 2-2, one game back in the division, but man, it just, life feels better, I know, around the facility when the Saints win.
It is all of New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, and when the Saints don't win, I mean, it can be a miserable time in the facility, and it can be a miserable time around town. And online, you just don't even want to look because it can be worse than miserable. It can be flaming hot. So you kind of stay away from looking at anything online. So, the Saints if they get back in the win column, then I won't say all will be well, but it'll be a lot more pleasant, I know, to come to work and to see them in the locker room.
It'll feel better, that's for sure. And I know the fans, they're just passionate. We understand that. The players are doing everything that they can. The coaches, they definitely want to win. It's a lot more fun for them.
I mean, and I get fans. I appreciate them. We love them. They make the whole thing go round. But look, folks, don't ever think, I hope, that you want to win more than the players and the coaches. This is their livelihood. This is what feeds their families. This is what keeps them in the NFL. You don't want to win the game more than they do. I mean, and they're not out there trying to lose. I mean, I get you get frustrated, but they're doing what they are, and sometimes you got to remember the opponent gets paid too. They get paid to figure out what you do on offense and what you do on defense. So, it's not always just as easy as, when you're running routes on air. When you're running routes against another guy, that other guy's been doing some film study, and he kind of learns your tendencies.
Yeah. That's a very good point, JD. Talking some reason on a Friday. I love it. Well, somebody that has been definitely working extremely hard and showing up on Sundays with the absence of cornerback Paulson Adebo is cornerback Isaac Yiadom, and we get to talk to him today. So let's head to our interview with Isaac. Isaac, thank you so much for joining us on the New Orleans Saints podcast. Before we really get started, I do want you to say your name, your last name, please, because I'm sure you've heard it many different ways. So let's get it straight.
They say they close. I just I'm like, all right, but it's the right way. Yiadom.
Your family, what is your ancestry, your lineage where the name comes from?
Ghana. Both my parents are from there. They came over and had us, so I'm first generation.
So you were born here
Yep.
in the States, in Massachusetts, Virginia,
Yep.
but then moved to the Boston area. You gonna have a lot of family there at the game this weekend?
A lot of my family's in Virginia, so I have my brother, my little sister, and my dad and my mom coming. So that's it really on the family side. Then I got some friends from college that will be there, but not too much fam because they all in Virginia, so they get a chance to come anytime I play in the DMV area.
What team did you grow up a fan of?
I grew up a Patriots fan when I was young,
Okay.
but I didn't really get into football until maybe middle school, and then I had to choose a team, and I think that's when the Patriots were like 16-0 or something like that year, and I just jumped on the bandwagon. So
At least you admit it.
yeah,
That's reasonable.
that's all it was, because I was living in Virginia at the time, and I was just trying to tell my friends that my team was winning. So That's all it was.
Hey, rewind for a second. What was this whole process journey like for your parents? Because you were born here, but obviously they weren't.
Yeah, I was actually talking to somebody yesterday on the interview. Like my dad came over first, brought over my mom. My mom, she didn't read or write English, so it was really hard for her. English wasn't my first language. I speak Tree. That was my first language. So I learned how to speak English through TV, through school. Like we taught my mom how to speak English. So it was for sure different, but it was a great opportunity, you know what I mean, to see things in a different, I have a different heritage. Going back to Ghana 3 years ago, I got to see where my family's from. I don't get to speak my language much because I don't really have nobody to speak it with now. But like even when I went back, I was talking to my grandma in the language and all that stuff. So it's great to be a part of something different.
Which TV shows did you use to help teach you?
Like when I can't even remember anything. Dora, SpongeBob, anything. Just anything. When you were a kid, you just watch TV and you just say the stuff they saying, and you just go to school. That's just how you learn, honestly.
Yeah, Barney.
Yeah, and Barney. And a lot of like my Hispanic friends growing up that have the same kind of story. They only spoke Spanish, and their parents only understood Spanish. They always say the same thing too: is that TV is how they learn how to speak English.
How difficult is that to fit in a world where it's really not your first language?
Right. People say that English is the hardest one to learn, or something like that. People say that, but I feel like when you're young as a kid, it's super easy. You can learn 4 languages as a kid.
Yeah.
So
you're sponges then.
Yeah. It wasn't hard for me at all. It was just something that was just second nature. I was speaking English and Tree and mixing both of them together at the same time.
Sometimes I guess the playbook kind of looks like.
Right. Yeah. So right.
Especially here.
What's it been like for you? Because now here you are, playing corner for the Saints, and I think the team's got 5 interceptions. You're personally responsible for 2 of them. One you got, I say in the end zone, the refs say at the 1, and the other one where you make the deflection and Marcus May comes up with it. What's it been like for you being thrust in pretty much when Paulson Adebo was out and getting a chance to be a playmaker?
Right. I think through OTAs and in camp, I gained the trust of my teammates, so they know that if something ever happens and my name is called, I'm be ready. Of course, I'm blessed to be this is my 6th year in the NFL, so I know how to prepare like a pro. I know how to study like a pro. I know how to be ready like a pro now. It's not like I'm a rookie, so I've had a lot of football experience, so it's nothing new to me. And I just think when it comes to getting the ball, something that we emphasized all offseason, all camp, like creating turnovers, getting the ball, getting our hands on the ball, creating takeaways. So it's just something that we trying to do, and if we can get 2 a game, that's great. If we can get 1 a game, there's always so much left out on the table. You know what I mean? Like we can't drop balls. If you count every single ball that you could have caught, you'll lead the league in interceptions every single year. So it's just something that we've been trying to emphasize.
I'm sure you know this stat, but I'll say it anyway. League leader in passes defense. What does that mean to you? Because you've played limited time while
right. You haven't even played as much as a lot of the people here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think me and Tay and Marshawn are all up there, and honestly, it's just when we like the system that we play in. You're responsible for your man most of the time, and it's just like a challenge. I feel like it's a challenge, and I feel like as a corner, like that's our expectations in the room. Like it's not a surprise to us in that room because the quarterback going to throw the ball at the receiver. They going to target you. They going to go all across the field and target you. So it ain't no surprise to us. That's just what we've been doing since camp and OTA. So it's just going on to the season.
Yeah, but is that an adrenaline rush when they make the call and say, okay, go out there, that's your guy.
Yep.
It's you and him. We're not gonna help you.
Right.
You got him.
Nah, not necessarily. I mean, everybody's a little different. For me, I just feel like it's a little easier. Like it's just technique. That's all you got to count on. And if your technique is right, it ain't a problem. If you confident in your technique, there's nothing to stress about.
Last year, you got here midway through the season, so you've had a little bit of time to really get used to the Saints, the way they play defense. How much has that helped you kind of hit the ground running this year?
Right. I think it helped me a lot. And, on special teams, too. I know special teams and defensive playbook in the back of my head now. And it's the first time in a while I've been able to get a OTA, a camp, and then be on the same team for the season. So I feel like all that has gotten me really comfortable, and I'm able to just I was able to start something, and now I'm able to just continue to build on it, what I started 6 months ago, last year.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned this is your 6th year in the league, but to finally have that continuity somewhere, how nice is that?
Yeah, it's really nice, and it's just like a comfort thing too. You know what I mean? Because you get to watch film and OTAs, and I think OTAs is so big because we get to, you make mistakes and you get to fix them there. You know what I mean? So then when you come into camp, it's all cleaned up, and to be able to go into season with that confidence is great. And sometimes it's the job in the NFL. There's a lot of change happens, but when you have to change teams, when you get into the season, it's not much learning. You kind of just have to learn it and go. You don't get a chance to really learn everybody else's job. So I think it's just a comfort thing. You get to learn everybody else's job, and it helps you play faster.
Mentally, how did you withstand all of the changes and jumping from different teams and the different cuts or things like that?
Right. I mean, it wasn't that hard. It was kind of easy. The first 2 times I was traded, so that was pretty easy. The second time when I came from Houston here, it was a quick switch, but defenses and playbooks is never been something that's been hard for me to learn. So I actually am thankful that I got to play in so many different systems, because I feel like I can play, in any. I can play zone, I can play man, I can play in any system because I've done it all for so many different coaches.
All right, 6 years in the NFL, and this, I believe, is your first NFL game in Gillette.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Never played in Gillette. Never
Great
played against the
research by J
Patriots.
Mac. Now, but you had a high school game there.
I did. Yep.
What do you remember about that game?
Man, we won a state championship there. Yep. In December of, I think, 13, and me and my buddies, when we go home, we still talk about it. We still got our rings from that, and like, I came from an inner city school. I think we never won a state championship in any sport, and we have about 6 high schools, I think, in our inner city. So it was like a huge accomplishment then, and like it's still a huge accomplishment for me now. And I think my jersey still, because they take the jerseys from each game and they put it in the Patriots Hall of Fame, I think, for all the high school jerseys. So I think that still might be there. But that was a unbelievable moment, walking away with the win. And every time I played there in high school or in college, I only won in Gillette. So I'm looking forward to going there Sunday and doing the same thing.
I was about to say we need to keep that going. So from the euphoria of that night, winning the state championship and all those accolades and playing at Boston College, did you see an NFL future?
When I was in high school, I wasn't really looking that far. I was just so hyped and amazed that I made it to the D1 level. So it was all BC. But towards the end of my career at Boston College, and when I got a chance to play at Gillette, it was always a dream of mine. And playing at Gillette was like, okay, I want to do this one day. I want to be here one day. So I'm super blessed and super excited to go back and be able to do that.
I think Joe Woods said one of the things that impressed him the most about you was that, when you were at the Senior Bowl, there was a receiver. I can't remember his name, but, apparently he was cooking everybody. And you just said, I got him. Do you remember that moment, and where'd that confidence come from?
Right, and I do remember that. And
who was the receiver?
DJ Chark.
Okay,
he was fast.
That's exactly who he said it was. Yeah,
he was killing us. Yeah, he had a game. But we was having kind of some trouble guarding him, and we made some changes on the sideline. And like all throughout practice that whole entire week, because I was a guy that wasn't even supposed to be at the Senior Bowl. I was never on the watch list. I know Mike Mayock at the time was running the Senior Bowl. He went to BC, and he got me into the Senior Bowl. So, I wasn't nervous to go. I was really confident when I was out. I had a lot of confidence when I was out there, and in the game, I was doing my thing. And I know we were struggling there, so I was like, "Hey, coach, let me go out there and get him. Let me see what I can do." But I knew what I could do, so I went out there and did my thing, and that's why I think I ended up with Joe and them in Denver.
That's right, because the Broncos were the people who drafted you.
Right. Yep.
How cool is it to be back with Joe Woods here?
Yeah, it's really cool. Him and Coach Mark Robb, I started off my career with them, and they coached me so hard when I was young. They didn't let me get away with nothing, and it's still things that I use now. And being able to be back with them, know how they coach, know the way they want things, it's like being a rookie again. So I'm happy to be back with them, and I think it's helping me a lot.
Yeah, JT Gray said that Coach Woods is kind of an old school guy. Have you seen his style change at all, or is he?
Nope, he's still the same. They both still the same coaches. They still coach the same way. They want it done a certain way, and it worked most of the time. So
Yeah.
they're still the same people.
From high school, your only D1 offer was Boston College.
Right. I had I only had two big schools, Virginia Tech and Boston College, and they
Okay.
came a day after each other. And I visited Boston College that Saturday, and that Wednesday after they called me, they're like, "Oh, are you gonna commit?" And I said, "Yeah." And I just kind of stuck from there, and I didn't even realize I was committing, but I was committed. I didn't uncommit.
Hey, what's it like, because you're a special teams guy also, what's it like to be an NFL gunner? Because it seems to be like a pretty, I guess, reckless position where you kind of, you really got to throw your body around.
Right, for sure. It's a hard position. You got to be fast, but you got to be crafty at the same time. And it's a blessing playing with somebody like JT, because it's so many little things that JT teach me, and I'm like, I don't even realize that. I didn't even know that. But it's for sure a privilege to have some speed, because it makes it a lot easier. But at the same time, you got to be able to tackle. You got to be able to know your opponent. You got to be able to, when he get down there, play the ball inside the 20. So it's something that's helped me out in the NFL a lot, and I think it's helped me stay on a couple teams. So it's something that I for sure take pride in. And when I'm not playing on defense, I'm happy that I'm able to go and play gunner.
A lot of people don't pay attention a lot to who the specialists are. JT Gray has made a very good career out of playing that role. What do you think it is that has made him so good?
I think it's one, his confidence. Like, at the end of the day, that's what it's all
He seems like
about.
a pretty quiet guy.
Right, 100%. He is really quiet, but at the end of the day, I think he knows that nobody can beat him. Like, nobody's gonna block him at gunner. Nobody's gonna block him on kickoff. That's just the reality of it. So he goes out there with the same mindset. He studies a lot. Like, he knows who's blocking him at all times on kickoff all the time. So that makes the game easier for him, and he's been doing it for a while. He's getting better and better. He still has a lot left in the tank. So, yeah, I just think it's just his confidence and him just knowing his job at a high level.
Going into this game this weekend, I'm sure it is a career milestone to be able to play at that level. Looking back on it, being there in high school and being there in college, and now being able to run out of the tunnel at Gillette as a pro, is that just a really full circle moment?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it is for sure. Like, it's like when I remember being young and going to my first Patriots game and just looking at these guys like, oh my gosh, like, they so big. Like, and I was so skinny, like 130 at the time. Like, dang, I'm too little. Like, how do they get so big and stuff like that? And watching like guys like Tom Brady and all this, it's crazy to be here right now, especially like from the city I'm from. Like, it's hard to make it out with sports, because it's not that much talent that comes out of, or people overlook it in Massachusetts, so it's kind of hard. But being one of the few that could make it, is such a blessing, and it just shows, like, all the other kids from my city, I know they're watching all the time, that they can do it too, and it's always possible. So, like I said, when I get to every single stadium, when I get to every single game, I do a lap around every stadium before I even change. So I'm gonna take my lap, take it all in, and then put my headphones in, and then it's go time. It's football mode.
So you grew up watching Tom Brady. You've been able to line up against him, right?
Right.
He was in the league so long.
Yep.
Even last year, facing him with the Bucks. How weird was that?
Yeah, like last year I didn't play much defense, so I just saw him from afar. But I remember, like, even when I was in New York, I'm in a defensive huddle, and I'm looking over, and it's Tom Brady right there breaking it down with Gronk, and I'm like, dang, this is crazy. And I was playing with Logan Ryan at the time, and I'd tell Logan Ryan, like, hey, say what's up to Brady. He's like, all right, lock in. And we just like joking and stuff like that. But everybody knows what he's done in the NFL, and it's even Slater, like, we've been watching him since we were kids, and now I get a chance to go against, a great special teamer. So, like, it's just a surreal moment, and it's an opportunity.
Yeah. So this weekend, the Patriots just traded for J.C. Jackson because they're depleted in the corner position. How difficult is it for a player to get traded? Because you've joined a team mid-season and just jump right in and have those kind of expectations.
Right. I mean, for him, I don't think it's going to be hard for him, especially that he's been there. And during COVID, we trained together for a little bit when I was in Boston, and I think he's a great player. I think he's going to do well. I think he's ready to go. But It's hard when you got to learn a different system, but it's like a lot that you got to go fast. But I mean, at the end of the day, we don't really have school or nothing anymore. It's just football's our job, so you get a chance to learn the playbook. Literally, if you want, you can learn the whole entire playbook in 3 days and you can master it. It just takes a lot of effort and a lot of just tuning in and studying it and watching a lot of film. So they make it pretty easy. And like when you get traded, they move all your stuff for you. You know, you don't really have to worry about anything other than football. So they make it pretty easy for you.
Yeah, I know you didn't get the result you wanted Sunday, but how quick and important is it to flush that, as soon as possible?
For sure, it's part of playing corner too. Especially like playing corner, you got to flush out a play, the next play, whether it's good or whether it's bad. You got to flush it out and go on to the next, because you can't let good stuff drag on. You can't let bad stuff drag on. And especially after a game, they sit in your stomach kind of weird. But you go back, you watch the film, you figure out what you got to work on, you write it down, the little things you got to work on. And you go out and practice and you fix it and you keep going, try to get a win the next week.
Does it really just take 3 days to learn a playbook?
Yeah, probably. It could probably take less. Like, I don't know about offense, but on defense, it could probably take less. If you really lock into it, yeah you can learn it quick. And it's just, but everybody's different. Everybody learns different. But it's a lot, but it's not a lot. Especially at corner, it's not like you're a linebacker that has to make all these calls.
Sure.
At corner, it's different terminology. A lot of the same stuff, though, for every team. It's just like different terminology. So, sometimes it's if you could take 1 day or 2 days and that's all you're doing all day, or you'll learn it.
I don't know. You went to Boston College. You might be a little bit smarter than average.
Yeah, I don't know. They do say about that BC degree, but hopefully it gets me a long way.
Are you settled in New Orleans now?
Yeah, for the most part. I have a place in Garden District. I was kind of like a homer, but I'm starting to get around, try different restaurants. I try different restaurants with Marcus May a lot because he knows where the good food is, like that. So I'm getting into it.
Anybody recognize you yet?
At the airport. Yeah, mainly at the airport, not really outside, but they'll say stuff like, "Do you play for the Saints?" And I was like, "Yeah." Then they will go crazy, want to take a picture and want to hug. And
yeah, do you say like, "Do you know who I am?" though?
Nah, not really. I just kind of laugh or act shy and stuff like that. But it's all love coming from them. Everybody's super nice, and once they find out you play for the Saints, it's like, oh my gosh, everybody like just wants to. You know how they love the Saints here. They love their Saints. They're like, "We gonna win." I'm like, "For sure, we gonna win." They're like, "All right, I'll come find you if we don't." All right.
They'll try. So you've been hanging out with Marcus, going around town. What's your favorite restaurant or meal?
Well, my favorite restaurant right now, just because I live in Florida right now, and there's one in Florida. There's a Houston's next to my house, and the Houston's here is really good. So I'm trying to cut it down to once a week, but I go there a lot. After the games, I'll go there and get a good burger. They got some nice ribs there, so I'm eating a lot of Houston's. Last year when I was living at the hotel, I ate Dragos way too much, way too much. So I'm staying away from there this year, and so much of those oysters and
yet it's here every Friday.
It's here every Friday, and I run away from it. So. And that gumbo from Dragos, I ate it way too much. So, like, if I have family in town, I'll take them there. Yeah. And I kind of treat myself. But right now, I'm staying away from that.
There are a lot of other places. You need to continue to branch out.
100%. I got to.
Yeah. With the free time that you said that you can have, because you're not in school anymore, what else do you like to do if you're not studying or prepping for football?
Like in the off season?
Or, what are your other hobbies?
I golf a lot.
Oh yeah. I saw that. Yeah. Were you checked into the Ryder Cup?
I don't really watch golf that often because they make it look too easy. Like,
okay,
it gets me mad how.
It was not good to watch for America anyway. So
I heard. Yeah. Those pros make it look way too easy, and it's not that easy. It's way harder than they make it look. But I golf a lot. Me and May can golf a lot in Florida. Have a couple buddies that we play almost every day after we work out really early. Then we go play. We're done by like 2:00, so it don't get too hot. But I fish a lot. We deep sea fish, so I do a lot of stuff outside. But that's really it. I just golf and fish and just repeat and train and golf and then fish. Just keep doing that.
Good. Doesn't sound bad.
It's not bad at all. It's pretty fun.
You cook what you catch?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. When it's in season, we cook for sure what we catch. A couple of my buddies. Former teammates, they got boats, so we'll go out on the east side and go out on the west side, and we'll catch, some snapper or all this stuff and bring it home, and we'll be good for a couple of days and go back out and do the same.
Did you know Marcus May before you got here?
I did not. No,
Okay.
I didn't.
So that's just your buddy.
Yeah, it's my buddy. Yeah. He's, May shows me the ropes around. He's a Florida guy, so we hang out a lot in the off season. So,
Who do you sit next to in the locker room?
Lonnie. I sit next to Lonnie, and then the other one is an offensive lineman we just got.
Irvin.
Yeah, he played in
Irvin.
Kansas City. I remember that.
Okay.
Yeah, Lonnie's my next door neighbor. He shows me a new picture of his son every single day, and that kid is literally 6 months, but he looks like he's 2. He's getting bigger and bigger every day. He's huge.
You got to watch out.
Right. I told him, you got to be careful.
You're going to have a football player.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Offensive tackle coming.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the time. Anything else?
No, we're good.
All good. It's been really great getting to know you a little bit better, and chatting with you. Looking forward to this game, and I know it's going to be a fun one for you, so enjoy it.
Thank you so much. Thanks, man.
Appreciate Ike joining us on the podcast today. Make sure you tune in to the Saints pre- and post-game show on NewOrleansSaints.com or at Saints on Twitter /X, whatever you call it. It'll be on at 11:15 on Sunday morning, and then right after the game is over, we'll be there with post-game sound. We'll hear from head coach Dennis Allen, players, myself, and former linebacker here at the Saints, Scott Shanley. Thanks so much for listening today. Have a great weekend, and go Saints.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Saints podcast. Join us 3 times per week on NewOrleansSaints.com, the Saints mobile app, or you can download the podcast on iTunes. We'll see you next time, right here on the New Orleans Saints podcast.